Hello, today we're going to talk a little bit about the cooling system on this 2014. This is my daily driver. I bought it new. You can see I really take good care of it. But I've had several cooling issues with it over the years, and I just want to quickly go over them and give you some pointers on what ended up being my problem. The first thing I had, the water pump. I heard a slight whirring sound, we'll call it. And it kind of would just come and go. It turned out to be that the bearings in the shaft of the water pump were so wore out that the impeller was hitting the housing, and it eventually hit and broke off, rendering the water pump completely non-functional. So that's the first thing. If you hear that sound, it's a good indicator that your water pump is just about to eat it. Second cooling issue I had was just a complete failure of the cooling fan here. I want to show you, there's a resistor on the fan for the low speed side, so I'm going to show that to you. So on the bench here, this is the resistor, and it kind of just has a little bolt here, screw that holds it onto the fan. The output is just two wires, a ground and a power wire. So the high speed fan bypasses this resistor altogether. The low speed fan somehow goes through this and slows the fan down. A real common problem that I hear about is the plug that goes from the car, like the chassis harness, into this little contraption here. So a lot of times these terminals will burn up and cause weird issues that cause fan failure or malfunction. Mine did not have that. I've never had that problem, but I just know it's a common problem, so I wanted to point it out to you guys. So after my first fan replacement, went along happily for a couple years with no major cooling issues, and then recently here I had another one. Noticed the car got hot, and basically the fan was not turning on. So I'm going to show you all the relevant pieces so that you have some frame of reference. This is where we're at in the car. This is your main power. If this blows, you'll have no power to your high speed or low speed fan. So check that. Without this 5 amp fuse here, which is, this was position 7. This one is 46, this 5 amp fuse. If that blows, you will not have anything to your trigger side of the relay. So either one of those, check those first. Your relays for the high side, it's 50, this one right here, and your low side is this one right here. Let me take this out so I can show you. Pin 30 is going to be this one down here, the vertical one there. And this is your power input pin. So basically, if 30 is not getting power, you've got a problem here or somewhere between here and here. If this one is not getting power, you likely have a problem with 46 here or something in between. This is your ground side right here. I believe that's what's controlled by the ECU, so to actually trigger the relay. And then this is your 87, which is the power that goes out to the fan. So that setup is the same on the high and the low side. You should be able to turn your AC on, and the low speed fan should immediately come on, so you should be able to test that way. Now, my most recent excursion, it was fine on the low speed fan, but when it got up onto the high speed fan, I guess the motor was starting to wear out, and it would put a more of a draw on it, and it would blow this fuse right here. So it was kind of a little bit harder to troubleshoot because everything seemed fine, and then you'd go drive around and you'd be sitting in traffic with the AC on, and that would make it go to the high side, and then it would blow that fuse. So that's about all of that. The one last thing that I have had an experience with, and it didn't actually cause me trouble, I just found it when I was working in here, was these hoses all have, well, that's a clamp, but down in there, they don't have clamps. They have like a little guillotine style thing with O-rings, and I have had to replace those O-rings. Again, it didn't run out of coolant, but I noticed there was a little weeping going on there. So that's one other problem you might experience. This stuff is pretty easy to replace. A few 10 millimeters and take your hoses off. You got to take a lot of this out, but it only takes just a few minutes to put a fan in it. I believe everything just about is a 10 millimeter, and you can kind of just flop most of this out of the way. You don't have to take it out. So that's about all. Hopefully this documented it for you to where you won't have to spend all the time I spent figuring out what wire does what and what relay and fuse does what. So if nothing else, I've got this documented for myself the next time the fan fails. So if this was helpful, please like and subscribe. I'm sorry it's not Fox Body content, but this might be helpful to you. So if it was, like and subscribe. I appreciate you watching. Thanks a lot.